Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video series I'd like to call Metal on Metal, where I'm going to be giving you guys a look at some of my favorite rock and metal albums, past and present. What better way to kick off a brand new series than to kick it all the way back to the band that made me love music and rock that turned into metal. We are talking about Kiss, and specifically 1976's Kiss Destroyer. This album had a huge impact on me. It was the first Kiss CD I got that was my own. But I specifically remember my Uncle Sean getting me Kiss Destroyer on CD, and it was my first Kiss CD. So I'm always going to have a soft spot for this album, but overall, it is a great Kiss album from what I remember. I haven't listened to this album front to back in probably 10 to 15 years minimum. So let's go back and see, is this album actually as good as I remember? Now, kicking off Destroyer, we are greeted with one of the most memorable Kiss openings they have ever written. Only after a minute and 30 long intro, which for me, I could have done without, but you hear a radio news broadcast about a vehicle traveling down the wrong side of the road at a high rate of speed, getting into a crash with the driver of the one vehicle unfortunately dying, and then you're met with actually hearing a car door sound, a car engine start up. Rock and Roll All Night from Kiss Alive 1 is actually what's playing on the radio. All of that's actually Bob Ezrin with a 360 mic. I found out while doing research for this album review is how he recorded that, which is actually kind of good. But after that minute and I think about 30-minute long intro, we're actually met with finally one of the best Kiss intros of all time leading into Detroit Rock City. Now, to me, this song represents the best of Kiss. A lot of people will know what Rock and Roll All Night is, but to me, Detroit Rock City, it has the energy, which is something Kiss lacked in their first three albums, kind of got on their Somewhat Alive album, but this is the first studio album that Kiss actually managed to capture the energy of their live show and bring it into the studio. And you hear it on songs like Detroit Rock City. Also musically, with producer Bob Ezrin, who worked with Alice Cooper, and Aerosmith was the other band right before this time in 75, 76. You can hear his fingerprints all over this album, and he's actually given credit writing for 8 of the 9 songs. The only song he didn't get credit for was actually God of Thunder, which only went to Paul Stanley, which we will talk about later. Detroit Rock City has such a different sound for Kiss, whether it be the jazz undertone that the song has, which if you guys want to know what I'm talking about, go listen to the drum track soloed from this song. Peter Criss does an amazing job, and you don't quite realize how great of a drum track it is until you hear it solo, because when mixed with the great guitar sound they have and Gene's bass line on this song, I'm pretty sure I remember hearing in an interview that Ezrin was the one kind of pushing for Gene to play this weird, funky, jazz-influenced part, but my God, it gives the song such a full feel. It is just bombastic combo. I mean, the dual guitar solo with Ace and Paul near the end of the song, it's just, my God, it's just such an amazing track. There's other great songs on this album too, and also a song called Great Expectations, which again, I'll get to later. So there's a lot of things I actually did remember about it. Songs like Sweet Pain. I'll be honest, I couldn't remember how the song started. So it was kind of me discovering Sweet Pain again for the first time, which I felt it was actually kind of cool. Rediscovering an album that you have such a connection to, but you haven't listened to in a while, and learn a lot of new stuff. And there's a lot more to this album than I remember hearing when I was 7 or 8. But there's a lot of extra parts. Sweet Pain having the vocals, which is, I don't want to say R&B, but the backing vocals on that song is, again, something completely different than what we knew to expect from Kiss up until that point, which again, we can probably thank Bob Ezrin for. The flow of this album, it's got a little bit of a weird feel to it as far as how the tracks flow in and out of each other. You have such an amazing ending to Detroit Rock City, and you hear the car crash followed by powerful single note echo where Detroit ends and King of the Nighttime World opens. And again, speaking of King of the Nighttime World, another amazing drum track from Peter Criss. Hearing in interviews and whatnot, Ezrin really pushed Peter Criss on this album, and I think you can really hear it. Because again, Detroit Rock City, we get that jazzy influence that Peter said has been an influence on him, but he's never really laid down in a track, but for that, it fit perfectly. This time we go back to more of a simpler drum beat, but I absolutely love how he plays it. You can play simple drum beats 2 different ways and get 2 different feels. And on this song, he plays the simple straight beat, but just how he's riding the hi-hat gives me the feeling that Kiss Alive gave. And that's the one thing I love off that album is go listen to it. Go listen to Peter's drumming. It may not blow you away with how technical it is. But man, that guy he has a certain feel on how he hits the kit. And it is amazing. And that's what King of the Nighttime World kind of the vibe I get off him. It's just a classic Peter drum track. And the snare fills through the chorus itself is another how he does his snare fills. It's the way Peter does it. It's hard to explain. Everyone kind of has their own signature that when you hear it, you know who it is. This track, you know it's Peter playing. Again, King of the Nighttime World is another great song that, I'm going to say this multiple times, kind of is a great song that gets lost to the Kiss discography. I mean, we got like 50 years of music. This is another just really, really great song. Till we actually have our first massive tempo change. God of Thunder, the third track on the album. An amazing song that on the studio album doesn't quite get the feeling it does in a live environment. But this was something Kiss struggled with the first three albums, is trying to get the live sound that they were known for. They were known as an amazing live band, but their records themselves didn't quite have the feel. It was hard to bring the energy of the live crowd into the studio. And in the first two tracks in Detroit and King, they did. Amazing tracks. God of Thunder is the one that I hear this and it just doesn't have the energy. And some of it could be we're met with a child's voice echoing, which is Bob Ezrin's kids throughout the whole song. And then you hear the slow, sinister thumping bass and drum beat that people know of God of Thunder. It is a song that will stand the test of time from Kiss. The studio version isn't overly that great. It's way better than it could have been. Paul Stanley actually has the only writing credit for God of Thunder. It originally was a Paul Stanley song. It had a fast, more disco-y sound to it, especially with the drums in the original demos. But luckily, Gene kind of took over the song. They rewrote a few of the lyrics, but a lot of times, actually, the guitar riff and the verse phrasing is very, very similar. I'm glad it turned into a Gene song because I don't think the song would have been that good. I think it would have been another like okay song. It wouldn't have been the live presence. Because when you think of God of Thunder, you think of Gene spitting blood, going into the rafters, fire and all that stuff. But I'm glad they got rid of the disco feel. It just wouldn't have been as big of a hit. But also the thing that has annoyed me that I remember hearing as a kid, now re-listening to it 10, 15 years later, my God, the overdub of the kids screaming and yelling and just the child's voices through the whole song ruins it for me. I get so annoyed listening to it because I didn't realize how much of it was there. But we also have to remember this is supposed to be more of a scary song. And back in 76, what we consider scary was completely different. But overall, a great track. As far as underrated songs, we have stuff like Flaming Youth and Sweet Pain, which both come on side B, but they're great buttoned-up songs. They're not quite the album fillers that you kind of heard on the first three albums. It wasn't anything like Mainline, Let Me Know, Kissing Time, Two Time, or anything from My Baby. These were way more buttoned-up, middle-of-the-album songs. Stuff like the circusy keyboards and bass tone during the chorus of Flaming Youth and the multi-layered Sweet Pain chorus vocals. Something that kind of came as a surprise to me, just how much more buttoned up, man, these songs felt in the first three were just middle of the album songs. One of the elephants in the room, though, is a song, the last song on the A side, Great Expectations. So we had Detroit, King, and God of Thunder. Now, the tempo change I mentioned earlier, this is really where it starts coming into play. Two really fast rocking songs, a slower but heavy song, and then we get met with Great Expectations. It's just a jarring shift in music coming from the first three songs. And to me, it's just a bit unexplainable why the song actually made it into the album. It's just an odd ballad that just isn't good and sad because this is the one song I'll say is just a dud. On one of the best albums in the band's discography, Great Expectations is on it, and to me, that's just sad. It should have been thrown out at the beginning. Give me an album filler over Great Expectations. End of the album, though, when you get to the B-side, Flaming Youth, Sweet Pain, both great songs. Shout It Out Loud, Beth, and Do You Love Me? A really, really solid B-side to the album. Now, Shout It Out Loud turned out to be another iconic Kiss song that has withstood the test of time. You heard it through some of the Unmasked years, through 83 to 96. Another great song intro. That is up there with Detroit Rock City in just iconic Kiss. Dual guitar openings, memorable riff, chorus that is easy to sing along to, the back and forth through the verses with Gene and Paul. It's one thing that really makes the song memorable for me, and through the whole song, Peter's drum track is actually really, really great as well. It's not really complicated, but it's just solid, and it's what the song needed. The tambourine over top of the drums as well. I don't know if it's a hi-hat tambourine or if it's just probably another second track tambourine in. Really fills out the song really well. Overall, song's great. Another must play in a live show. Do You Love Me isn't a huge amount to talk about, honestly. Another great song that's loved by a lot of Kiss fans. It makes its way into live shows every once in a while. I don't think it's one of their more played live songs in their shows. Doesn't get quite as lost as Flaming Youth and Sweet Pain, but again, it's just another one that somewhat gets buried in the discography of great songs. But overall, catchy intro drum beat, you know what the song is instantly. Great song. I actually think it's, other than Detroit, probably Paul's best song on the album. Really love it. Overall, just solid song. Now, the second, to me, elephant in the room is Beth. It's one of those, it's a song I was kind of dreading about talking about, because for me, it's a high and low point in Kiss's history. It's a song that helped get the album realized, because instantly didn't do so hot when it released, but when people started flipping the album over and started playing Beth, it started gaining traction. It's a ballad. It's a great song. It's a beautiful song. I like it because it helped the album blow up, get more exposure, but also it was this to me shows the giant shift from the first 3 album Kiss to post Kiss. Now there was some great stuff to come on afterward. This was very much what Bob Ezrin did with Kiss, because this was a song Peter brought in, originally called Beck. Bob Ezrin took it home, reworked it, renamed it Beth, and it's going to go down as probably the song people know Peter Criss for with Kiss. I don't think many people are going to... I say Black Diamond is the best Peter Criss song. Most people who don't know Kiss that well probably is going to say Beth. But at least it's not the normal... Because before, Peter, outside of Black Diamond, we knew him for some of the album filler songs, like Strange Ways, which All Day Enough got a Megadeth cover. Baby Driver, Getaway, Mainline, or some of its other songs. It always had a bit of an odd feel to it, but it was never a giant orchestral piece. Although the MTV version of it, Plugged, it was really nice when they brought Peter back before the reunion and did it acoustically. I wonder if they took that approach instead of having the giant orchestral and whatnot. If they made an acoustic song, it's a great Kiss song, but I hate that it's a great Kiss song. Because after that, you could see the path of them going down commercial because of it. Good or bad, maybe without Beth, maybe Destroyer doesn't do well, maybe Kiss doesn't survive. Who knows? Overall, Destroyer for me is going to be a landmark Kiss album for me and many fans. So many iconic songs that, like I keep saying, withstand the test of time. Detroit, Shout It Out Loud, God of Thunder, Beth, Do You Love Me? But for me, it was one of the albums that I think introduced a lot of people to Kiss and introduced me to Kiss. But overall, I think it's a great album, but I can see why some of the complaints are. It's not the perfect album. Like I said, the tempo shifts through it weren't amazing, but it's got a lot of solid songs. It's more buttoned up than their prior albums, and I think it showed what was to come on their next 3 albums that they released right after this. But hope you guys did enjoy this album review of Kiss Destroyer. If you did, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. If you have any feedback, this is kind of my first time ever attempting an album review. It's something I'm going to get better at through time. Also, I do live stream on Twitch almost nightly. Links will be in the description for that. Also, follow me on Twitter. And if you guys want to join the community, I do have a Discord going. Thank you guys for checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next one.